many are still grieving. Some families will be lost to one another forever. To those of you who face the difficulties of reconnecting with family and establishing ongoing relationships, we say sorry. We offer this apology in the hope that it will assist your healing and in order to shine a light on a dark period of our nation's history. To those who have fought for the truth to be heard, we hear you now.
You're listening to Adopt Perspective podcast, a podcast for anyone affected by adoption. I'm your host and president of Jigsaw Queensland, Jo Sparrow. This podcast is a production of Jigsaw Queensland Post-Adoption Support Service. However, the views expressed are those of the people participating and not necessarily Jigsaw Queensland. The podcast discusses adult themes and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Adopt Perspective. I'm your host, Jo Sparrow. At Jigsaw Queensland, we have some really exciting plans for this year, and we're kicking off things with something especially designed for people impacted by forced adoption. We've teamed up with Access Clinic to offer an 8-week program called Overcoming Negative Self-Talk and Learning Self-Compassion. And to tell us all about it and how you can get involved, we've got two very special guests today. Helen Angela Taylor, the CEO of Jigsaw Queensland, and Anna Lanyon, a mental health social worker from Access Clinic. So thank you so much for being here, Anna and Helen.
Thanks for having us, Jo. Really excited to be here.
Thanks, Jo. It's lovely to be here.
Helen, we might start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the aim of this program?
Absolutely. So the aim of the program is to help participants address negative self-talk and build self-compassion. For many people impacted by adoption, there can be a lot of internalised guilt, shame and self-criticism. So this program is designed to help break those patterns and empower participants to show themselves the same kindness and understanding that they would to a loved one, for example.
That sounds so powerful. Why do you think that negative self-talk and self-compassion are particularly relevant to people who are affected by adoption?
Well, the forced adoption era caused so much trauma, like for those who lost children to adoption and also for those who were adopted. The emotional scars can linger for decades, and many people internalise those painful experiences in the form of negative self-talk. Now, negative self-talk is not unique to people impacted by adoption, but the guilt and shame associated with adoption can make our self-criticism particularly debilitating. So this program helps individuals address that, heal, and begin to create a new, more compassionate narrative for themselves.
Yeah, that's so important. So who's actually eligible to participate in this program?
The program's open to anyone who was impacted by forced adoption. So specifically, that means if you're an adopted person or a mother or father who lost a child to adoption during the forced adoption era, which lasted from the 1950s to the 1980s in Australia, and you either live in Queensland or the adoption took place in Queensland, then this program is for you.
Right. So one of the challenges that we face as an organisation is reaching people in regional Queensland or people with accessibility issues. So what were some of the considerations when planning this program to make sure it's accessible for as many people as possible?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge we face, Jo, and it's something we really wanted to address here at Jigsaw Queensland. So we've created, in partnership with Access Clinic, 2 delivery options for the program. One is a face-to-face group, which will be held on Wednesday evenings from 6:30pm to 8:30pm here at our Jigsaw office at 505 Bowen Terrace in New Farm. That course runs from the 19th of February to the 9th of April, so it starts next week. The online group, which will run on Thursday evenings from 6pm to 8pm, starts next Thursday, the 20th of February, and finishes on the 10th of April. And the online group, we're going to prioritise for people who live outside the southeast Queensland area.
That's fantastic. So much flexibility. And when people are signing up, what can they expect regarding cost?
The great news is that this program is fully funded by the Department of Social Services, so there's actually no fees for participants. However, participants do need to commit to attending all 8 sessions, and there's an intake process to ensure that the program is the right fit for people at whatever stage of their adoption journey they're on.
Excellent. So the face-to-face program will be held here at Jigsaw HQ. So what can you tell us about that space and what participants might expect of it?
Okay, so I'm a little bit excited because we've recently rejuvenated our office space in New Farm for this very purpose, to create a warm, welcoming environment for small groups, because that's an area of our service that we really want to develop this year moving forward. So it's a really lovely space with comfy modern armchairs. We also have bean bags, huge sturdy bean bags in bright colours. So if people really want to get physically comfortable, and if comfortable for them is getting floppy on a bean bag, then that's an option as well. It's really important for us and the facilitators from Access Clinic that the people feel comfortable from day one. And of course, we're going to have refreshments available for the face-to-face group.
Excellent. I might need a crane if I was getting into a bean bag. Have you got those there to help people out?
Same.
So why did we choose to partner with Access Clinic on this particular group program?
Well, last year, as part of our strategic and business planning, as a team, we were exploring therapeutic programs that specifically meet the needs of people impacted by adoption, because those kind of programs are really hard to find. And just by chance, in one discussion with our members of our community, we were talking about compassion, and one person mentioned that they'd actually done this course with Access Clinic, and they described how beneficial it was to them. So we looked into it and instantly saw the value of the course for people trying to manage the impact of shame and self-criticism that results from an adoption experience. So we approached Access Clinic, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh, well done. So for anyone who's interested in joining in, what are the next steps?
Okay, it's really easy for people to sign up. They just need to reach out to Access Clinic directly. So that can either be by phone at 0732540333, and they can call that number Monday to Friday between 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Or if they prefer, they can email Access Clinic at admin@accessclinic.com.au.
Excellent. So Anna, can you tell us a bit about Access Clinic and what you do there?
Yeah, sure. So Access is a multidisciplinary clinic. So there's two clinics in Brisbane, and we've just opened another one in Tweed Heads. But it also has quite a large online platform now, so we can reach people all over Australia, which is really exciting. I've worked at Access for a few years now, providing individual therapy to adults and adolescents, as well as working with couples and families. The main modalities I use are EMDR, so eye movement desensitization reprocessing, bit of a mouthful, schema therapy, sensory modulation, and acceptance and commitment therapy. But I also run online dialectical behaviour therapy groups, a social anxiety group, and I've also run groups for people with intersex variations with Interlink in Brisbane. So there's a lot going on at Access at the moment. It's a really exciting time.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, we're excited.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what participants might expect to take away from completing the program.
So as I feel like Helen gave a really good overview, but so compassion-focused therapy specifically targets those intrusive feelings of shame and self-criticism that can so mercilessly grip our minds, and particularly for this group of people, it's really pertinent. Self-compassion is shown to improve overall mental well-being, reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, enhance self-esteem and self-worth, increase resilience and coping skills, and also strengthen relationships and social connections, which are some of the things that sort of have got lost over the years. The specific Access program that we run combines a theoretical overview of compassion-focused therapy with practical and experiential exercises. Sorry, I find that word really hard to say. It's quite practical and engaging. Well, that's what we hope for anyway. And the group covers the function of emotions and reducing the stigma and shame of negative emotions. self-criticism, shame and guilt, feeling safe and receiving compassion from others, finding forgiveness, and creating and strengthening the compassion itself. And the previous program that we ran, we've actually tailored it specifically to Jigsaw. So we had a baseline, but we have actually kind of boosted it specifically for this purpose, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So who will be facilitating the course, and do they have experience working with people who are impacted by adoption?
So I'll be running the online group, and Raquel, she's a psychologist at Access. She'll be running the face-to-face group. I'm a social worker. She's a psychologist. Neither of us have a lived experience, but we both are quite experienced in trauma and self-compassion work. And we've also both completed the Australian Psychological Society online training. And we're also getting a lot of guidance and supervision from Helen and Jigsaw more broadly, and we will throughout the program. So yeah, although maybe we're sort of new to this area, I feel like there's a lot of scaffolding around it to make sure that we're doing the right thing. I hope you feel that too, Helen.
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
I know there's been a lot of work happening in the background to make sure it's a priority. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So Helen mentioned earlier that there's an intake process to participate. What does that involve?
So the intake process would be with me, Raquel, or one of the directors, Carolyn. So the aim is to provide an opportunity for us to build a bit of trust and rapport before the group starts, which particularly with this group of people is so crucial. We can't get anywhere without a bit of trust there already. Participants can ask questions about the course content, talk about their unique goals, let us know what language they would like to use for themselves and for others and what's comfortable, and also to speak about where they're at in their journey, because we're sort of assuming that everyone's coming at this from different angles. It's also an opportunity for clinicians like me to gauge the person's group readiness and to problem solve any issues that might come up. And what I mean by that is groups like this have the capacity to be incredibly healing and supportive, but they can also project patterns and behaviours that are similar to family dynamics. So they can highlight intimacy issues, lack of attunement, abandonment, those kinds of things. So we really need to make sure that everyone who joins the group is ready for it. We don't want to set people up to fail. And it wouldn't be a no, but it'd be like, you know, refer back to Jigsaw for a little bit of extra support before we do the group thing, or, you know, finding other avenues. It's definitely, there's a no wrong door process. That's the way we're approaching it.
Thank you. So how would the program differ between face-to-face and for our online participants?
So I think, yeah, the way Helen described the physical environment of the face-to-face session was really clear, and that would have Raquel on site. And my understanding is the chairs would be in a circle, and you know, you've got that kind of physical presence, which some people find really comforting. I guess the advantage of, and I guess it's important for accessibility to have the Zoom option, because it eliminates geographical boundaries, making it possible for people in remote areas or those with mobility issues to join. Also, the flexibility of attending sessions from home can reduce scheduling conflicts, making therapy more convenient. For instance, for like single mums, I can think of, and like people who work full time and or odd hours. So we want to make it as, you know, open as possible. Also, for many, the prospect of discussing personal problems in a physical group setting can be daunting. For some people, it's the opposite, but for other people, it actually is more scary. So the virtual format provides a sense of comfort, security, it makes it easier to open up, and the degree of anonymity can kind of alleviate some of those concerns about stigma and privacy, which obviously are just like, is like a really big issue for this group of people, and important for us to protect. So I think it's really cool that we're offering both options. Definitely.
Yeah, So 8 weeks is one of the longer commitments for programs that we've offered at Jigsaw. What kind of benefits have past participants shared with you about the long-term impacts of the program?
So as I mentioned earlier, in terms of there's improved self-esteem, social connection, reduced isolation, reduced shame and stigma. But I guess what I found, not just with the self-compassion group, but all groups, is that 8 weeks is an excellent time frame, because you get into the group and it is awkward and it feels uncomfortable, and you have to do these it feels strange to do icebreakers or whatever you do. So you sort of have to get through the first couple of weeks of feeling in this weird social environment before you can move on to the next stage of building belonging, shared purpose, and then in that third stage, taking on new information and being open and flexible. So I actually think 8 weeks is a really great amount of time. I've run groups that were like 4 and 5 weeks, and I was like, that, yeah, it was too quick, basically. The beauty of practicing self-compassion in a group setting is that people learn from each other's experiences and challenges. Seeing other people struggling and hearing their stories and experiences can reduce your level of isolation, even if their journey and struggles are really different to yours. There's that real solidarity, I think. And people impacted by forced adoption experience such a profound lack of agency, choice, and control. And so this is their opportunity to get their voices back and have their voices heard. So, and we're listening with open ears.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know I've certainly been in courses and things before myself where it takes a little while to find your feet in, to start feeling relaxed and confident enough to have your voice. So that extra bit of time will really help with that.
I so agree, definitely. Even as a facilitator, it takes me time to warm up. So
So it sounds like a truly transformative experience, and I'm just so excited that we can offer it. So thank you both for your time today. It really is an incredible opportunity.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Jo. Access is so excited to be involved. And Helen, thanks for inviting us as well. It's been, exciting getting to know you.
Our pleasure, Anna. And thank you, Jo, for the opportunity today, because we really want as many people as possible to know about this, because it is the first time we've done something like this. And we really want it to be a success for everybody. And so we're very grateful to Access Clinic. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And just a reminder for anyone who's interested in completing the program to please contact Access Clinic directly on 07 3254 0333 between 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Or you can email admin@accessclinic.com.au. And for anyone tuning in, remember that every experience in adoption is unique, and it's never too late to begin your own journey of exploration. And if you're looking for more resources, support, or simply a space to share, then Jigsaw Queensland's here to help. If you enjoy Adopt Perspective podcasts, please leave us a review, share the podcast, or get in touch with us to share your thoughts, because we really love hearing from you. And if you've got a story that you'd like to share or you'd like to be interviewed for the podcast, jump onto the main podcast page of the Jigsaw Queensland website and complete the prospective guest form that you'll find there. And just note that Adopt Perspective can be listened to by people all over the world. I'm Jo Sparrow. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Adopt Perspective podcast. If you'd like to find out more, go to the podcast page on www.jigsawqueensland.com and you'll find a wealth of information and resources on the website. If you reside in Queensland, you can reach Jigsaw Queensland's Forced Adoption Support Service on toll-free 1800 210313, or you can call Jigsaw on 07 33 58 6666. If you live in another state of Australia, you can still call the Forced Adoption Support Service number, and your call will be answered by the Forced Adoption Support Service in the state that you're calling from. In every other state, Relationships Australia operates this service. A big thank you to Matt Sparrow for composing and recording our original theme music. Until next time, I'm Jo Sparrow saying farewell from Adopt Perspective, a podcast for anyone affected by adoption.